Hey YouTube, today we're going to be looking at a couple AR-15 rifles, and what we're going to do here is I've done this with a couple different products. Is I'm going to compare a high-end product to a less expensive product and tell you if you get any advantages or if there's a disadvantage of buying something that costs more money. Now folks, we're all common people here and we like to save money where we can, and I'm going to let you know if you can save a little bit of money on something, I'm going to be the first one to let you know. So what we're going to do here is let you know that neither one of these rifles are loaded, and as I pick them up, I will show you there's nothing in them. So what we have here to compare is on top here, we have a Springfield Saint, like an M4 style AR-15. And on the bottom, this is a Daniel Defense DDM4-V7. So we're going to pick the first one up, and I'm going to show you first of all that it is open, there's nothing in it, and it's not loaded. So what this is a Springfield Saint, and this is a regular entry-level Springfield Saint. So it's like got the M4 style sight on it, the high post and everything like that. And this is a 1-in-8 twist chrome lined barrel. It comes with a regular birdcage flash hider on it. It's got the little bayonet lug on it, the sling attachments, and very high quality rifle for the money that you pay. I think this is probably the most bang for the buck. This is what I would consider like a mid-level rifle. It's a little bit more expensive than your lower end ones, but it's not as expensive as the super high end ones. But one of the things I like about this is the fit between the upper and the lower receiver. And if you broke this down, which I'm not going to do because YouTube will freak out, is there's a little adjustment screw that tightens this upper receiver to the lower and makes it a very tight fit. As you can see, there's no play here whatsoever, and that's pretty important when it comes to an AR and accuracy. You don't want any type of movement or anything like that on it. Now, one of the quirks you get when you buy a Springfield Saint is it comes with the Bravo Company furniture. So you get a Bravo Company stock, you get a Bravo Company pistol grip, trigger guard, which is a little bit bigger if you were to wearing gloves or anything like that. It gives you a little bit more room. And Bravo Company handguard here. And this is a M-lock handguard, but it is, it is made out of polymer, and there is a little bit of movement on the handrail and all that, but it's not quite as finely finished off as like the higher end ones like we're going to show you here in a second. But on the inside of this rifle, I'm going to release this bolt. You'll see that it says Springfield on it. So the bolt carrier group is made by Springfield themselves. But very good rifle. This rifle has always been one of my go-to rifles. I used to use this as my home defense rifle. I would always keep this loaded. It's just got a regular Sig Sauer Romeo 7S on top of it. Just a basic red dot optic on it. But very cool rifle. Now, one of the things that you get when you get a Springfield rifle is the trigger group is just a GI trigger, and it's nickel boron coated. So it's kind of like polished, and it gives it a really good GI style trigger. Now, first thing people do when they buy an AR rifle is they put the trigger of their choice in them, because it's so easy these days to put drop-in triggers, and that's what I've done on this one. I just put a regular flat face drop-in trigger, and this is a 3.5 pound single stage CMC trigger that I put in it. It just greatly improves the rifle, the way you shoot it, and you're able to make it more accurate shots and stuff. And almost anybody can do it. There's a million videos out there on how to put a drop-in trigger in an AR, and I'm not going to go into all that because YouTube will have a heart attack if I did. But very good rifle. But one of the problems, or one of the advantages of this rifle, is the cost of it. I would call this a mid-price rifle because it's not cheap. It's not as cheap as like a Palmetto State or an Anderson or something like that. It's probably a step above that, but it's all factory built rifle. But the quality that you get when you buy one of those lower ones and you put the upgraded furniture and stuff like that in it, you've already got it in this, and you're actually getting out better by buying something like this. Now, what we're going to compare it to is this one here, and this is not loaded at all. And this is a Daniel Defense DDM4-V7, and I'll show you some of the close-ups of it. And it says right here on the side, DDM4-V7. Now, what do you get for this? Now, this is going to cost about twice as much as the one there on top. But some of the stuff that you get with this is you get your ambi safety right here on top. And this is all aircraft aluminum built in-house by Daniel Defense. And they make all their parts in-house. All the furniture is made by Daniel Defense, as you can see here. The stock is made by Daniel Defense. The vertical grips made by them, and you get a little bit higher quality made flash hider here, and they make all this stuff in-house. Now, all that stuff costs money, folks, when you do that, and you have to pay for labor. And unfortunately, it's just very expensive when you have skilled people doing it. Now, the customer service is one of the things you pay for when you buy something like this, and the quality of the people that work on these things are skilled gunsmiths, and you have to pay their wages. And unfortunately, it's just one of the things you have to deal with when you buy high quality stuff. Now, the United States military buys Daniel Defense stuff. They buy their handguards, they buy their actual whole rifles now. And I would say if the military buys it, it's going to be good enough quality for me. If you look at the fit and finish on this, it is definitely a difference in the fit and finish when you're looking at stuff like that Springfield Saint I just showed you. There's no sharp edges or anything. Nothing moves on it. And one of the things about it is these barrels, if you shoot 10,000 rounds through maybe this Springfield Saint, and you shoot 10,000 rounds through this, the barrel's going to hold up a little bit better to heat and wear and stuff like that. But a lot of the weekend warriors like myself and a lot of the people watching, you're probably not going to ever see a difference. Is one of them more accurate than the other? I would say not. If you were using this as an actual battle weapon or something like that, the Daniel Defense is probably going to be a little bit more durable, you know, because there's no plastic here, no polymer or anything like that on the handrail. So you could it's probably going to take a little bit more abuse or stuff like that. I'm going to drop this bolt here and show you that they make their own bolt carrier groups, and it says Daniel Defense right there on the side of it. But everything is just high quality. The customer service that you deal with, if you ever have any problems with them, you know, they're going to stand behind their products 100%. They're one of them high-end companies that will always, they don't want bad stuff out there. They don't want their name associated with problems. So, you know, that's important to some people, is high-quality stuff. Now, one of the problems I have with the Daniel Defense rifle is their trigger groups. They come with a regular GI trigger, and if you were to compare this trigger to the one that came in the Springfield Saint from the factory, this is terrible. They put an awful trigger in them, and for the money you spend on these, I would say they should put a little bit better trigger group in them. But I don't run Daniel Defense, and I don't know what to tell you. But the first thing everybody does anyway is change the trigger and put their own kind of trigger and their own little spin on their AR. So that's probably why they do it. That would be my guess. They don't waste any extra money on putting high dollar triggers in them because they don't know what people want to do with their AR-15s, but they do not have good triggers from the factory, and the first thing you need to do is change the trigger on them. Now, that's a little ridiculous when you spend this kind of money on a rifle to have to put a trigger on it, but you got to think you're paying for all the rest of this finely fit stuff and everything, and you're paying for the customer service, and you're paying for the craftsmanship that puts this rifle together. So, in closing, is it worth it to spend the extra money on the Daniel Defense? Well, it all depends on what you're using it for. If you like pride of ownership and you like to have top of the line stuff, yes, I would say it's worth it. If you just want a good rifle, a very reliable rifle, and you don't have a lot of money to spend on the Daniel Defense, you're going to be fine going with something like a Springfield Saint. I don't have a problem with that at all. Now, if you're using it as a battle rifle, which I don't know if anybody watching this video is going to use this as a battle rifle, the Daniel Defense is probably going to hold up a lot more. It's going to hold up a lot better to heat. It's going to hold up better to, you know, the elements, abuse, and all that stuff, just because of the materials that it's made out of. But do any of us really do that with our rifles, folks? I mean, let's be honest. Now, if you're one of those people that shoot 10, 20,000 rounds to your rifle, you know, it's probably not going to be a cost issue anyway, because of the way ammo costs these days. You might still want to go with the Daniel Defense. Now, if you're a lefty or stuff like that, this, you got to keep in mind this comes with the ambi on it. You have to add stuff like that to the Springfield Saint. You know, there's advantages and disadvantages to each, but be known that the one on top, you can buy about 2 of those for what you can buy the one on the bottom. But the one on the bottom is made with a lot higher quality parts, and there's a lot more attention to detail paid for when they're assembled. So keep that all in mind. It's kind of like buying a Dan Wesson versus like a Wilson Combat 1911. They're both good, great, but there's a lot more attention to detail paid with the Wilson Combat, and you know, you're always going to have that customer service, and that's worth something to a lot of people, and I'm one of those people. But anyway, folks, I own them both. I like them both. I don't have anything bad to say about either one of them, and let me get your opinion on what you think. Is it worth it to buy a very high-end Daniel Defense rifle over something like a Springfield Saint, or would you just rather go with the Springfield Saint or buy 2 Springfield Saints, you know? Let me know what you think in the comments, and thank you very much for watching my video today, and you folks have a great day.